fractions, decimals, and percent word problems. A math course has 5 tests as evaluations and all are weighted equally. If you scored 85, 92, 75, 88 and 73 on 5 tests, what will be your final grade? So basically you're asked to find average of those 5. So you do 85 plus 92 plus 75 plus 88 plus 73 and then we divide the result by 5. So we add 85, 92, 75, 88, 73. The result we get is 413 and then we divide by 5. So the average you get is 82.6%. Second one here then, we are told the room temperature before turning on a heater was 18 degrees Celsius. After an hour since the heater was turned on, the temperature increased to 21 degrees Celsius. Find the percent increase in the temperature in that 1 hour. So percent increase is basically, in terms of formula, it's the final amount minus original amount. Okay. Final amount minus original or initial amount, if you want to say, divided by original amount or initial amount. So in our case, it will be basically 21 minus 18. It will be 21 minus 18 in the numerator. 21 minus 18 divided by original or initial amount, which is 18. Okay, so 21 minus 18 will give us 3, divide by 18 will give us basically 1 over 6, or you can just punch in 3 divided by 18. The result we get is 0.16666. As a percentage then, because it's in percent, we multiply by 100, we are asking percent, it will be roughly 16.67%. Okay, 16.67% it will be. So depending on the multiple choice, you might be given numbers rounded. So in that case, you might be given 16.67 or 17% or 16.666. One of those answers will be correct. Okay. Now it says if you invested $1,000 for a year, after a year the amount went up to 1,086. Find the percent increase in the amount for that year. So we can say percent increase equals final amount minus initial, and if it was percent decrease, it will be still same formula. So in our particular example, it will be basically 1,086. It will be 1,086 subtract 1,000, so that will be $86 and divided by 1,000, and because we are converting it into percent, it will be times 100. So in this particular case, it will be 86 over 1,000 times 100, which will be then 8.6%. Okay. If Sarah's monthly salary is $4,500, if the tax deduction from her monthly package is $1,200, what percentage of her salary goes to these deductions? So that will be basically 1,200 divided by 4,500, and because we are converting this into percent, it will be times by 100. So the result we get is 26.66666. So we can roughly say 26.67% of her salary goes into the deduction. It's quite a high. Okay. Next one then, the cost of a jacket including tax, 13% tax, is $157. What is the cost of the jacket without the tax? So we know the total cost is original cost plus the tax. Now we know total tax is given to us to be $157. Original cost we don't know. The tax on the original amount will be original amount times 13%, and 13% as a decimal will be 0.13. Okay. Now 157.00 will be x plus 0.13x. If it helps you, you can think about this being 1x. So when we add those numbers, when we add 1x plus 0.13x, we get 1.13x. So 157.00 equals 1.13x. So then if you want x alone, we divide both sides by 1.13. And again, your calculator given to you for the test will have adding, subtracting, multiplying, dividing functions. So if you were to use this is what I get. We know because it's dollar amount, we cannot have 3 decimals. We round it to nearest hundredth of a decimal. So it will be $138.94. So the amount before the tax for the jacket is $138.94. For the next one then, it says you receive a grade of 80% on a test of 40 questions. How many questions did you answer incorrectly? So we know we got 80% marks on 40 questions. So 20% of the answers are incorrect. So basically 20% of 40. So 40 times 20%, which is then same as 40 times 0.2 or 0.20 if you were to say it's the same thing. 40 times 0.20 will give us 8. So then 8 answers are answered incorrectly. For the next one then, we are given, suppose a train traveling between city A and B is at a speed of 104 km/h takes 2 3/4 hours. What is the distance between the two cities? So we are given speed to be 104 km/h and time taken is given to us to be 2 3/4. Okay. So then we know speed is distance divided by time. So then distance between those two cities will be speed times time. So in our case then we will say distance is basically, distance is a small d, is basically speed, which is 104 times 2 3/4. But 2 3/4 as a improper fraction will be 4 times 2, which is 8 plus 3. 8 plus 3 is 11. So it's 11 over 4 hours. So it will be 104 times 11 divided by 4. We will get 104 times 11 divided by 4. We will get 286 kilometers. So distance between those two cities are 286 kilometers. John and his friends ordered a pizza. John ate a third of it. Chris ate a quarter of what was left. How much pizza was left over after Chris ate his piece? So from one whole pizza, John ate a third of it. So after John ate, the remaining pizza is 1 subtract a third. Now 1 subtract a third is same as 3 over 3 subtract a third, which will be 2/3. Okay. After John ate, 2/3 of the pizza is left. Now out of those 2/3, a quarter of pizza is eaten by Chris. So Chris ate a quarter of what was left. So 2/3 times a quarter. 2/3 times a, so reducing 2 and 4 here, we will get 1 over 3 times a half. So that will be 1 out of 6. So that's how much Chris eats from whatever was left after John ate. So remaining is then whatever was left after John ate, which is 2/3, subtract what Chris ate, which is a 1/6. Now taking common denominator here, 2 over 3 can be written as 4 over 6, subtract 1 over 6. So that will be basically 3 over 6, which will be then half. So half of the pizza is still left over after Chris and John both ate their pieces.